Hi, I'm Peter Dunn, Pete the Planner, CEO of Your Money Line. We're a financial wellness company and we work very closely with SRP, Strategic Retirement Partners. They asked me to spend some time with you today to talk to you about some of the financial realities we're all facing right now. So that's exactly what we're going to do. First, this is our agenda. We're going to talk about what's happening in the economy and the market at large. We're going to put some goals together for our time together today, give you a little bit of a plan, have some homework, and then if you have any questions, you have the opportunity to work with the people at Your Money Line to answer your personal finance questions. Your employer can begin to talk to SRP about how all of that works. Let's begin by talking about the two major financial issues going on in our world right now, and that's the stock market and the economy. A lot of times people confuse the two. They put them together and when you do that, it makes our problems that we're dealing with seem unsolvable. The market and the economy are actually very different. They are related in a way, but they're different. You see right now with all the volatility in the market is looking forward to say, what's the plan for our economy? Is there a sustainable way to open back up and to, of course, slow the spread of COVID-19? Until we have a sustainable plan to reopen the economy and to get a robust growth rate once again, I think you're going to see that volatility in the market. However, if you are years and years and years out from retirement, you shouldn't overreact when it relates to the market. Me personally, I'm 20, 25 years out from retirement. I'm trying not to look too much at my statement, knowing that happens from time to time. Every 10, 15, 20 years, the market has major events. They all feel unique at the time. And so your goal isn't to focus as much on the stock market and its volatility as much as we want you to focus on your own personal economy. And that's what we're trying to do today. There are major economic issues right now in our country. There could be high unemployment. There'll be slowed growth rates. The nature of the problems exists in the fact that the economy is not open right now. You can't go to the businesses that you could go to just a few weeks ago. And until that changes, we're in for a little bit of turbulence, so to speak. What I want you to do though is I want you to focus on your personal finances. It's very easy to get distracted by the news, whether it be medical news, stock market news, or the economy at large. What I would like you to do is to try to focus on these three things in the coming weeks and months, because that will solidify your financial life. First off, our number one goal is to show you how to cut at least $250 a month from your everyday expenses. This includes dining out, fuel for your car, entertainment, discretionary spending. So we'll talk more about that in just a moment. This is also a really interesting opportunity to press reset on your financial life. The interesting part about our lives is that sometimes we feel like our financial life is put upon us, like someone else chose it for us. The reality is, most times we choose our finances, but we kind of forget that over time. This is an opportunity to reevaluate all of our spending and make some critical decisions. And finally, we'd love for you to stop guessing. A lot of people guess that they're okay or guess that they're not okay. We'd like you to know one way or another so you can make the proper adjustments going forward. Another component to this whole conundrum we're in is that this isn't just about personal responsibility. Yes, today we want you to, be personally responsible for trying to improve your finances, but at some point in time, if you need help, you can't be shy about accepting that help. Maybe you have a significant other or loved one that's income or employment has been affected by this period of time. You can't be shy about, seeking the resources made available to you by the federal or state or local governments. The stimulus package is a really complex instrument, and tapping it appropriately to help support you during these times is an advisable thing to do in most cases. Here's what I want to focus on today. This is our plan. We're going to talk about counting transaction, making budget cuts. We're going to show you how to pull your credit report, and then our plan is to stabilize and go. Most people don't like budgeting. This should not come as a surprise to you because you are most people. You probably don't like budgeting. And so, about 11 years ago, oddly enough, during the last recession, we came up with a way to help people understand their spending habits without actually having them budget. And it revolves around counting transactions. So, the reason we spend so much money is because of the increased frequency in which Americans tend to spend money. There was times, 30, 40 years ago, people spent money not too frequently, maybe 10, 15 times a week. But because of debit cards and different online payments, people tend to spend money 25, 30 times a week now. Now, this may not seem significant to you. If something costs $1, who really cares if you have, 25 $1 transactions? But you and I both know we're spending more than $1 a time. The more times we spend money, the less we care what we're buying costs, and that becomes an issue. So one of the smartest things you can do during this period of time is to look at your last 30 days of spending. Actually, you should probably look at January's spending because the last 30 days has resulted in some unusual activities based on what our economy is doing. Look at your January bank statement or credit card statement or however you spend money and count the number of times you've spent money. Now, don't include utilities and car payments and house payments and things like that. We're talking about consumer activities, going out to eat, grabbing some coffee, shopping online, going to the grocery store, putting gas in your car, picking up your dry cleaning, these sorts of activities. Ideally, you're below 20 transactions per week for your household. Okay, if you are two adults in your household, those two adults should not account for more than 20 transactions over the course of 1 week. If you're above 20 transactions, then arguably you've got some consumerism issues that you need to work out. And now is a beautiful time to do that because you have the opportunity to change your habits based on our economy being effectively shut down. Your goal, if you're really struggling with these things, is to try to see if you can go a week with around 10 transactions. When you do this, yes, it will impact that week, but for the weeks after the trial period, you'll change your habits significantly. Look, it is kind of hard to spend money right now. You can't go out and really do anything. People are making trips to the grocery store that not that frequently. And so it should be easier than ever to be under 10 transactions for the week. That's a great way to reset your spending habits. On top of that, now is also a time to look at the actual expenditures themselves. Maybe previously you were spending $75 a week dining out. Well, how practical is that now? If you have income instability in your household, for instance, maybe a significant other of yours has lost some income or some employment stability, it is time to begin to try to solve that problem by spending less money. Typically you can solve any financial problems two different ways. You can make more money to try to fund the issue, or you can spend less money so more money is available. The make more money really isn't an option right now because the gig economy is essentially dead for right now. So cutting your expenses is the way to go. The goal of this, of course, is to be to a point where you have 3 months expenses set aside in an emergency fund. I fully realize that doesn't mean that's realistic right now. Just because I tell you that's what you need doesn't mean you can snap your fingers and all of a sudden, oh, now I have 3 months. Thanks, Pete, for telling me that. But that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to create a scenario in which you can survive financially for 3 months if there's other income instability in your household. And making budget cuts are a great way to do that. Not only will you be spending less on dining out during this period, you have to be very sensitive to the meal costs that you have even when cooking at home. The difference between cooking a $30 meal for your family versus a $15 meal for your family has a huge impact over the course of the month. I know oftentimes when we dine at home, we don't look at food costs, but being able to feed your family for $1 or $2 per person per meal can be a very effective tool during times like this. Also, you're going to be forced to evaluate subscriptions and memberships, which have become increasingly popular over the last couple of years. The best way to do that, of course, is to grab your January account statement and start making tough decisions. Our goal for you and for yourself, right, is to cut between $250 to $500 a month of expenses. Maybe this is realistic, maybe it's not, but it's certainly worth the effort. Next, you need to go to annualcreditreport.com. There are some debt provisions, credit provisions within the stimulus package that was just passed. And so you need to understand where you stand from a credit perspective. I'm not particularly concerned about your credit score, but I am concerned about what your credit report tells you about your stability. Where are there balances on your credit report? Who do you owe money to? What are those minimum payments? If you go to annualcreditreport.com, you're going to be able to grab that information for free. And you can do that every year at annualcreditreport.com. And you're going to want to grab credit reports from all three bureaus, which are Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. Again, you may not get your score, but you certainly will be able to see what's on your report. Unfortunately, we're going to be entering a period of fraud and scams that always happens during a recovery, no matter what the disaster is. So having a grip on your credit report, knowing what is on there is vitally important to make sure that you're protected. You may also consider freezing your credit so that no one can access your credit report, and that does not impact your ability to spend money on credit. So go to annualcreditreport.com to check that. It is a good activity to make sure you have a lot of structure and stability in your financial lives. Ultimately, our goal right now, in the midst of all this chaos going on, is to stabilize our own households. The reality of your stability may change over the next couple months, which is in relation to maybe your significant other's employment or their income, and the economy at large. Who knows how long we stay closed? So you got to hunker down right now. You've got to have a very important conversation with your significant other about how stable you are. And beyond that, the plan is to stabilize as a nation with our personal finances. And when the economy opens back up, our plan is to press go. That's what we're doing. Because in order for this machine to get going again, we got to pull people back into the economy. A few weeks ago, there was this image, this idea going around the internet that the way we were to slow the spread of COVID-19 was to pull people out of line. And the way that was illustrated and visualized was there was a series of matches just in a line, like matchbook matches, and they were all lit. And all of a sudden, there was one match that was pulled out of line. And then so the last match in line extinguished. There was no flame. And so the match on the other side of the gap couldn't light. And that was to explain how we needed to social distance, pull ourselves out of the public so that we don't pass COVID-19 on to others. If you think about this same concept, but from an economics perspective, what we're eventually trying to do is to try to pull the people back in line who have been taken out of line because their businesses have closed or they're not allowed to operate based on COVID-19. So think about it that way. Your income comes from someone else's spending, and your spending is someone else's income. So we need to get this thing going again when it is appropriate to open back up the economy. The best way you can help with this is to lean out your expenses now. So when it is time to press go, you can go and pump money back into the economy. Stimulus checks should be here in the next couple of weeks, deposited into your account if you are eligible for that. If you have a full emergency fund and you have employment and income stability throughout your household, maybe consider hanging on to that check until the economy opens back up and then use it to stimulate the economy. It's called a stimulus package meant to, stoke the fires of our economy once again. The reality is, based on the economy being fully shut down, it's less likely to stimulate and more likely to provide a sense of relief for people. But for those that have stability, it is your duty, once this thing opens back up, to pump money into the economy so we can get going once again. Your employer has the opportunity to work with the experts here at Your Moneyline. We answer financial questions all day long. We answer them, hundreds of them a week. People can call us or email us or connect via our mobile app. So if your employer wants to talk to SRP about your access to that, by all means, we welcome that opportunity to serve you. There are plenty of free resources online as well on our blog at yourmoneyline.com. We're going to get through this together, but your focus has to shift from everything else going on outside to your personal finances. how you can trim at least $250 to $500 a month, how you can press reset on some of your spending, and how you can stop guessing as to the stability of your financial life. Till next time, I'm Peter Dunn, Pete the Planner. Thanks for spending time with me today.